Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. It's now time for our first topic of discussion for today. And as we noted earlier, we're going to be talking about the manufacturing and the assembly of vehicles here in Egypt. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined here in the studio by engineer Shady Safty, and he's an economic expert. First of all, good morning, sir. And thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Engineer Safty, and let's talk about the manufacture, or this particular manufacture of vehicles, or this industry in general.
This industry is very important for Egyptian economy and all other economy, and what we can see is the news that there is a lot of German and Korean and Chinese companies willing to invest more in Egypt in this sector. Mm-hmm. And this reflects confidence in Egyptian economic reform, and I believe this is very good news for Egypt.
Yes. What is your opinion or point of view regarding the fact that the leading German auto companies are now executing a number of projects here in Egypt after years of absence?
Yeah, this reflects that what we did before in the last 2 years in several sectors like energy sector, transportation sector have been well visualized and communicated with other countries, and they see now some competitive advantage for industry in Egypt. Now you see, like overall Africa, there is some competition between Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia about who will absorb more foreign direct investment. So this news about German investment in Egypt, I think, can reflect that we did a lot of effort in the last 2 years to increase the competitiveness of Egyptian industry.
Right. When we talk about the Egyptian vehicles and the industry of Egyptian vehicles in Egypt, we see that we still need to take further steps. Before, in the 60s or 70s, it was booming and it was very promising. Things came to a halt, and now we are pulling back once again. And we are catching up with the whole world. We're taking further steps on mega projects everywhere, infrastructural projects, developmental projects, housing projects, and you name it. And it seems that it's also promising, and there are signs that we're going to take a further step, a good one, in the field of vehicles, the industry of vehicles. What is your assessment concerning that?
I totally agree with you, and what I see now is there is a lot of competitiveness and competition in Africa to gain this foreign industry. Before it was only Egypt, now Morocco doing very well, different countries like South Africa also doing very well. But I think the steps we took already have the right logic and sequence, so we cannot improve the industry without improving the energy sector or transportation sector. So what we did, I think it was very good logic, but I totally agree with you that the government needs to revise the overall strategy for automotive industry. The market in Egypt is very small, is around 200,000 cars, and the industry of automotive is capital intensive. So we need to revise the strategy to be focused more into export and Egypt as a hub for export.
Also in this field, or in this regard, Engineer Shady, how do you see the efforts exerted to attract more investments?
I think we need several improvements in this area. Why I say this? Because we have very good trade agreement and very diversified trade agreement with North Africa, with Europe, with COMESA, Mercosur, but we didn't utilize this trade agreement as much as other countries. If I just give an example again about Morocco, we have the same agreement with Morocco, and Morocco export some French car brand to Egypt, but Egypt didn't export any car. So Egypt didn't utilize this trade in this sector. Maybe it utilized it in another sector, agriculture or other sector, but I believe we need to revise again this trade agreement and see how we can make this benefit for trade agreement. So the market, as I mentioned again, is very small. So if we focus only in domestic market, we cannot improve more. So if I say that we are working the same as it is, we cannot improve. We need to go for export. So this request or requires some change in the strategy itself.
Right. When we talk about the current contemporary time that we're living in, and the challenges and the advance in technology and in the industry worldwide when it comes to automotive, what are the challenges that are facing Egypt when we are setting our vision towards a booming industry, vehicle industry, in the coming 2030, 2065 vision?
I think this is a very good question because now all countries focus on sustainable industry and sustainable manufacturing. We have some lesson learned for Australia, for example. It have very good industry for 100 years, and in the last 2 years they stopped this industry. They cannot compete more. So Egypt needs to focus more on this sustainable manufacturing and sustainable industry, focus on 2 dimensions. One dimension is the manufacturing itself. Now everyone talk about industrial fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0, where we focus more in digital transformation. But at the same time, users are looking now for more cars, small car, electric car, hybrid car. So we need to take this into consideration. The demand will be different, the consumer behavior were different. Maybe everyone need to choose different car, different color, different size. It will be like more customized manufacturing and focus on some trend for electric and hybrid vehicles.
Yes. Speaking about the hybrid and electric cars, do you think that the infrastructure in Egypt is ready for this transformation?
Yeah, the last year was some good focus. We have around 70 charging stations covering Cairo and Great Cairo. I just read report in the morning about 70 cars have been licensed last month. So people already start to buy.
It's gaining momentum.
Yeah, but we need to understand that we import now the engine. So all other countries will stop electric car, not electric car, sorry, traditional engine car. So we don't have any other option. So we need to go fast for this. But I have another point of view. We need to focus more in CNG, compressed natural gas car, because Egypt have good field for CNG, especially in Zohr and West Nile Delta. So focus on this as a step 1 will be good, and I think electric cars still need like 2 or 3 years to have this confidence.
Speaking about what you have just mentioned, is it environment friendly when it comes to emissions?
Electric or CNG?
CNG.
Yeah, CNG is better than traditional car because efficiency is much better, and also the cost is very low compared to traditional engine watts. So from economy of scale, so if we focus on transportation sector to be focused on CNG and passenger car focus on electric, I believe this will be a very good strategy for Egypt.
Yes.
Right. Taking it from the natural gas as a source, I mean replacing other sources like the gas, the normal gas. So this would require some facilities, other facilities, which is the size of the tank. For example, technically speaking, if I apply natural gas, then I would need a bigger tank, and then I would need a bigger car, like the American industry, the vehicle, when the car is so huge, and we would need bigger streets, avenues, and we would need bigger spaces and lots, parking lots. So the requirements of the Middle East and in Egypt, would it fit transforming into natural gas when it comes to the size of the car, size of the tank, the places, I mean all the circumstances that is associated with using natural gas inside a car?
I totally agree with you because this will impact on the storage area and trunk in the passenger car, but as mentioned to you, that there is some application where CNG is suitable and fit as a best fit for public transportation, for example, because the most important for us now is to give safe transportation at the same time with very competitive cost where people can feel that there is some reduction in the cost. So CNG can help us on doing this. I read some news about Prime Minister talking about the tuk-tuk because tuk-tuk is one of unsafe mean of transportation, so it's not safe for our people. So if we focus on CNG in public transportation, we don't need this storage. Also in taxi, I agree with you. In passenger car, maybe if we use this tank, we cannot use the trunk, we don't put luggage, but as I mentioned, we can focus on some special application because the cost saving will be great for Egypt.
Yes. Also, speaking about the assembly of the renowned car make here in Egypt, we have the Korean one, an American one as well. We have the manpower, the capability, and also the capacity building. So why we still need more time to compete with Morocco, for instance, which is booming?
Very good question, because now we have some initiative from different ministry or from different company based on some relation with other country. But I believe that government and Egypt need to adopt a strategy for automotive industry, and this need to be revised. Which the industry is more critical to Egypt? For different experts say garments is number one, automotive can be number two after petrochemicals, but automotive industry should be top priority for us. But I believe what we are doing need to be also revised. Now we focus on the final product, the car itself. But we need to start with auto feeding industry. We need to focus on some other industry like seats industry, exhaust system, some paints, because this like phase one, and we can be very good supplier for automotive industry in Europe. So we need to revise the strategy itself, how we start, and we go through the whole value chain.
Yes.
Right, going back to the natural gas and its consumption and transforming into using natural gas instead of the gas in gas stations and all that. Assessment of the costs between the natural gas and other sources, the regular ones that we're using now. Is it that promising? Is it that inviting for us to be able to think seriously of transforming all the system to natural gas? That is number one. And once we transform into natural gas, is that going to change on our economy in general over the, the hike in prices, over the dollar and the Egyptian pound and all that? I mean, with the decrease in the prices of gas, is this going to change the situation economically?
Yeah, this will be change the situation. Let me explain some details why. Because what is good in CNG first, that the car with gasoline engine can be converted to CNG. So it will be what we call dual strategy or dual fuel. It can work with gasoline and at the same time can be work for natural gas.
Like
so
the hybrid cars.
Yeah, like the hybrid car, but the same car will not need to make some new design or new change, just make a conversion kit. This conversion kit, the average price is 7,000 Egyptian pound. And so taxi driver, this will be very convenient for them. So no need for us to pay more in the infrastructure. At the same time, we still importing diesel, and this import, of course, with foreign currency, so it impacts the foreign currency. But we have a very good reserve from natural gas. So we need to utilize our CNG and reduce the import for diesel, and I think this can make good reserve for us and change and also give us some advantage for Egyptian pound.
But don't you think that in order to make this transformation, there will be conservations from the Ministry of Environment regarding the emissions and so on and so forth?
From environmental perspective, CNG is better than traditional engines. That's what we are doing now, because also from the efficiency. So if we use CNG, it will be much better than what we have now.
Yeah.
Of course, electric vehicle is the optimum, no emission at all, but this can take on some phases, for example. But
Yeah, and you
CNG
have
is
kindly
much
noted that they already started having charging stations throughout Cairo and Greater
Cairo is like phase one. Maybe in the coming 2 years also will cover different also cities.
Yes, I believe also that the import law about having a hybrid car for the 3-year model with no import tax, this would be encouraging, I believe.
I think this is a very smart decision, because this will encourage our people to buy electric car. You know, in Egypt, consumer behavior always worry about some new technology or new things. They need to take some time to absorb this change. So this will give us some advantage, because the initial cost will be low. If you import some car which is used, so the cost will be much less, maybe with $10,000 or something.
Yeah.
Much more also in addition to the encouraging incentives that the country or the government is going to give to the citizens, also the awareness about the electric cars. I mean, the electricity as a source of fuel. Probably whenever anybody hears right now about electricity as a source of fuel is something new and could be a little bit skeptical about taking a step further. So if you could elaborate more on this, the nature of transforming into electricity as a fuel for a car. How exactly is it better than the usual terms, and is it going to be way more less costly? How long will it take me to charge a car to be able to use it for how many days? And what exactly, how should I use it? Is it going to be fit for certain trips and not? I mean, many people don't really know how is this something new, and how would they be taking that process, driving a car that is an electrically fueled.
This technology worldwide is growing very fast and updating and improving.
Are there countries
in other countries improving very fast? The technology itself. I'll give you an example. Now you can ride one car, for example. The range is different from one manufacturer to another. It starts from 400 kilometers till 700 kilometers. So you can drive, with one charge, you can go for 400. So if you go through city drive, maybe it take for you 1 week. No charging. Now they are working through 3 modes of charging, what we call fast charging, normal charging, medium charging. So maybe if you go to shopping mall, if you go to some parking, you find charging station, you charge your car and go, then you turn. So this is not the big impact on it. The most good advantage will attract people worldwide is the cost saving is huge. If it take from you, for example, just a comparison, rough comparison, is one way, for example, 700 kilometers versus the other car, the saving will be like 500 Egyptian pounds, for example. If this
on which side?
For electric car. Electric car, the trip can cost you 200 Egyptian pounds. The traditional one will cost you 700. So it's like 80% cost reduction in electric car. The only disadvantage that we have now in electric car is initial cost is very high compared to traditional one. But this will go down in the coming few years. And this is what the decision of Ministry of Industry that he accept the importing with used car. So the initial cost will come down.
And that would apply on all models of cars or special manufactured cars?
No, all electric car from different places, US, China,
so
Europe.
I have to buy an electric car in the first place, but not my, where would we take the good old cars? I mean, there wouldn't be, it wouldn't be manufactured anymore, it would be out of service?
It will going out of service, but this will go gradually. This will not go. So all new car is starting maybe 2025, 2030.
For the time being, we have the hybrid ones, which is like both.
Dual, dual both,
like
gasoline and electric also.
Okay, so still talking about the transformation. You're kindly noted that it's gaining momentum, and the phase 1 is going fine. Do you think also about the cost efficiency when it comes to the charging, and is it going to be easy for the Egyptians to cope with this transformation?
No, it will not be easy, but as I mentioned, it will go through different segments. And what I hope that the government gives some incentive for this electric car too, and this is what's happening in China. Government gives some incentive to help and encourage people to go for electric car. For example, the license may be free, no taxes for 3 years or 5 years. This will encourage people more to go and buy this electric car. This incentive is very good to encourage and take the lead on this.
Yes, engineer Shady Safty, economic expert. Thank you so much for your insight, and thank you so much for being with us on The Breakfast Show.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. And dear viewers, now we move on to a short break, and then we'll be back to resume the remaining segments of The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International.